Erin, if you could send me a request from your mobile phone. Oh, this is so cool. You guys waited for us. Thank you so much. I promise I'm going to be making it worth your while because I have so many amazing questions to ask him. And a lot of you have been sending in your questions to me directly. And oh, let's see. This should work. All right, everyone, let's cross our fingers together. You know how we did the Viking clap previously together? Let's do this together. Come on, Erin. Come on, Erin. There you are.
Sorry about that.
Welcome. Oh, it's perfectly fine. Like I was telling the viewers, you're totally worth the wait. Welcome, Aaron Hughes, to Off the
Good
Pitch
to see
with
you.
Khuri Irani.
Khuri, I'm just
Hi.
going to move so I've got a better reception because now that we're on the phone and the joys of Wi-Fi, just give me a sec.
It's fine.
It's going
We're
to be a
watching
very,
you move around your house. So we get a nice tour of your house while you're doing this. Thank you on
well,
behalf of
just
Manjapara for giving me a tour of your house.
just the roof, just the roof. Right. It's going to be a very bland background because I'm going to have to sit up against the wall to make sure I don't lose reception. But here we go.
Look, bland background, it's fine because all the color is coming in from these guys. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about Manjapara, the fans. That's all the
For
color and the
sure.
noise you need. We
For
don't
sure.
need background. But how's it going, Aaron? Thank you so much for doing this. You're live for the first time. Thank you. How's it going? What's your routine like? Tell me something about your life today. What's going on?
Today, today's been pretty much very similar to a lot of days, just because of obviously how things are. I'm okay, Curry. You know, we can't really complain too much here. I know you guys over there have had sort of a much stricter lockdown than we've had.
Yeah.
You know, we've still been able to get out and exercise and, you know, go to the shops for food and things. So I've just been trying to, you know, keep myself fit and healthy and it's probably forced me to do some jobs around the house that I needed to do that I was putting off. So nothing majorly exciting, just doing a bit of gardening, you know, doing a bit of cycling, a bit of running, a little bit of gym here and there. So um and it's allowed me to get on with my study as well. I'm doing a course, a
Yeah.
sports management course with UEFA. So it means I can actually get on and do a bit of research and a bit of study for that, which again I probably had been a little bit lazy in doing. So it's given me plenty of time to do that.
Another feather in your cap. Is there even place for more feathers in your cap, Aaron?
Do you know what I could do with a few more feathers because I'm starting to lose some here, to be honest.
It's
It's
wisdom.
hopefully I don't want to get too wise if it makes them all fall out. So
It's fine.
no,
It's fine. You're not in the studio right now. When we get you back in the studio, we'll get you made up
well
again. And
that's the problem. You see, I had all those fantastic people at Star who were making me look a lot better than what I actually were. So and obviously I don't have the night. I mean, just in my hoodie, so I could do with one of the fancy suits as well.
oh, perfect. You're welcome anytime. In fact, we were looking forward, to welcoming you back towards the latter half of the league, towards the semifinals and the finals. And then I realized you couldn't come down because of certain reasons. But we did miss you every single day. We really, really did.
No, I missed I
Honestly.
missed being there. I really enjoyed it because, I tried to explain to people how much I enjoyed India when I was, with Kerala playing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and getting a chance to go back. And obviously, it's a slightly different, doing the TV rather than playing. But it
Yeah.
actually made me realize how much I enjoyed India and being there and the people and everything. So I really enjoyed it, and obviously getting a chance to work with all yous and Mace and Anant. And unfortunately, I didn't get to catch up with Russ.
Some good, some not so good. I balances out. It balances out. No,
No,
no, we
listen,
love
they
them.
were they were you all really looked after me on my
Yeah.
my debut as such. So helped me
They
through it.
still
So
look after me 5 years down the line, and they're still looking after me. They're amazing guys. Yeah,
yeah, good guys.
true,
So
true.
but no, I was really looking forward to coming back, and it just coincided right at the start with all this virus commotion
Yeah,
and the travel
yeah,
and that, and I
yeah.
just like I said, maybe I thought maybe it wasn't the best time to travel. So unfortunately, I didn't make it, but maybe in the future, you never know.
Of course, in the future, I'm certain of it. I don't know why you have to say a may because I'm 100% guaranteed. But before we talk about, you coming down again as a pundit and a studio expert, let's talk about the first time that you were here as a player for Kerala Blasters, the captain of the team in season 3. And Aaron, I was just telling them when you couldn't get on live, I was just telling the fans, everyone watching right now, about how you came down and then there was one game, then you went back, missed a couple of games. You came back for game 4 onwards, and you went back. So it was twice that you went back and forth, back and forth. How did you possibly manage? Because
Hmm.
those were the World Cup qualifiers. So you were on international duty. Home and away games were all in cold places. And you come to hot and humid Kerala. You did this 3 times in a short season. However, did you manage?
It was a little bit unexpected because, I wasn't sure if I was going to be selected for the national team just during that period of, I'd
Yeah,
been in Australia before that, and obviously I was trying to stay in football and try and stay involved, but because the season started later in India, and I didn't really have a pre-season, I'd missed the first couple of qualifiers in September, so I wasn't sure,
yeah,
and then I think we'd had a couple of injuries, or the manager called me and asked me would I be available. So it was a little bit unexpected, but I'd been used to traveling because previously to being in Australia, I'd done the travel as well.
mm,
So
yeah,
in terms of coming back to a cold place and returning to a hot place, I'd done something really similar the year before when I was in Australia. So that side of it
yeah.
that side of it wasn't an issue. I was at that stage where I was old enough and wise enough to know how to look after myself and do the right things to keep myself fit and healthy.
Wow.
But it was enjoyable. The fact that I was still able to go and play international football, given that I'd gone halfway around the world, was something special. And like I say, it was unfortunate that I missed the games at Kerala. That wasn't
Mm,
expected. It wasn't in the plan when I joined, but hopefully
yeah.
at the same time, I like to think that it brought a little bit of exposure to the Indian Super League, and certainly to Kerala. When I looked at the match, we played
Yes.
one of the games we played away to Germany, and obviously when I looked at the match program, obviously all the players are listed, the teams next to them, and
Yeah.
Carol is listed next to mine, so it was hopefully bringing a bit of extra exposure to the team.
Yes, and can you imagine what an honor it was for all of us to have that next to your name? I mean, it was for us. Come on, I'm talking on behalf of Manjapara, for all, behalf of all the Indian Super League fans, of all the Indian football fans, and oh my God, do you know how much you're loved? Come on, give a big shout out right now because all the fans have been sending waves and hearts and hugs, and while you've been talking,
Yeah,
it's just non-stop. So just
no, those guys made the experience what it was, I have to say.
really,
One of the best experiences I think of playing in India, not, was just the atmospheres in Kochi.
yes,
There hasn't been too many places that can rival that noise, and even trying to explain, now, people back home and people over here, it's when they ask, oh, what it was like, did you get many people at the game? I was like, yeah, there's probably about 50 or 60,000 at some of the games, depending on what the capacity was, and they can't believe
yeah,
it. And then even just trying to explain the noise and the type of noise, and the stadium being full 2 hours before kickoff, it really was something a bit different, and something
yeah.
I remember. And obviously even now, 4 years later, I'm still getting messages from fans from Kerala just saying how good it was when I was there, and that they
Yeah.
miss me, and that they want me to come back. Although I am retired now, and I don't think I'd be much use on the pitch now. So those days are maybe gone, but certainly I enjoyed myself.
There's a lot of people going, why, when you said I'm retired now. But since you were talking about it, there's a fan by the name of Yusuf Shah who says, my question is that when you were playing for Kerala Blasters, you were used to playing in front of a fully packed stadium. Tell us about that, Aaron. Just because this is Manjapala, you just make it. I was talking to Goody the other day, and he said, one of the lines he said was, the players feed off the fans. Did you feel that as well?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But you can't help it. When you're even driving in
Yeah.
from the hotel to the stadium, and the streets
Yeah.
are lined with people in yellow shirts, and
Yeah.
the drums and the horns and the trumpets. The whole atmosphere driving in is incredible. And it creates a buzz that it's great to be a part of. And like I said, you're stepping out from the dressing room onto the pitch an hour and a half before even kickoff. You're just going out to have a look at the pitch and stretch your legs. And
Yeah.
the noise in the place is deafening. I've spoken to you about it before. That the noise when before the final, when we
Yes.
tried to interview,
Oh,
I couldn't
yeah.
even hear what
Yeah.
you were saying. You were stood right
When I
next to
was
me, and I
trying to,
still
I know,
couldn't hear.
and on live TV, sorry to interrupt you, but I remember Aaron on live TV, I kept asking you the question and you kept going, what? Sorry? And it was such a good thing you couldn't hear what I was saying, and it happens every time we're in Kochi. Wasn't that
Yeah,
just, it's so motivational for you as a player leading your team out, and it's a final.
yeah. Words don't do it justice, Curry. To be honest, you can't. You can try and explain what it's like, but
Yeah,
until you're
yeah,
actually stood in the middle of it, and it's all around you, and obviously when the game gets going, the focus very much turns to the job on the pitch, but you still are aware of that noise in the
yeah,
background and
yeah,
that atmosphere, and it's one thing, when it really did for sure, help the team and spur the team on and keep the team going. And it was as disappointed as we were all for ourselves not winning the title that year. I think it was just as much for the fans, especially being at home.
Yes.
Well, I always think of what could have been, if we had have won on penalties that night. The celebrations in the streets. I dare say we could still be in the stadium now trying to get out. It was.
I was just about to say that. Maybe they would have never stopped all the way till the
know,
opening game of season 4. The celebrations would have just not stopped in Kerala. No. And what a way! It went down to penalties, Aaron. I mean, were you gutted? Because I remember in that game you went off injured in around the 36th minute. Just as a captain, not being able to be there on the pitch all the way through. What were you going through?
Do you know what? I picked up a little strain in my groin late on in the semi-final, and I knew when I started the game that I wasn't fully fit, and it was a case of, I spoke to Steve because I was actually worried that I was going to go out and maybe make a mistake due to the injury, and it was trying to balance between the benefits of giving trying it and seeing how I go, but also maybe becoming a weak point in the team and being a liability. But I had a good conversation with Steve before, and he said, look, just you've got to give it a try, and I was happy he said that because I wanted to, but unfortunately it just I just couldn't continue. I was getting to that point where I was becoming a liability, and I was afraid of maybe doing something that was going to weaken the team or of a bad effect. So it was to go through the season and get to that point. I'd already, I guess, came to terms with it because it was such a strange feeling after the semi-final, because I was so happy that we got through, but at the same time I was so disappointed knowing that I might not be able to be involved in it. So I'd already dealt with that in my head 2 or 3 days before. I'd got over that and I was just focused on the game. So to be involved in it was great. To then have to watch it from the sidelines, it's one of the hardest games I've ever had to watch in my life. It's so hard not being involved in it. It's to not be able to go out and help the team. And it was just, I think, when it comes down to penalties, look, ATK were deserved winners that year as much as we would have been deserved winners, because I think when it comes down to the final and two teams are that tightly matched and it comes down to a few kicks, it was just, you just have to say it wasn't meant to be in the end.
It wasn't.
But a fantastic journey and a fantastic run to get to the final, because I think,
what a season.
Yeah, I think when you look at that season, the teams for me that were I would say, ATK, Mumbai and Delhi, were the top teams, I guess, to really beat. They were the toughest teams you would have looked at, and most people would have said that they would have been, certainty to get through to the playoffs, and then, after that, maybe ourselves, Pune, Northeast, maybe a little bit. So we had a real good fight and a real good push to get ourselves into that position, into the playoffs. Had an unbelievable, result, and again going through in penalties in the semi-final against Delhi.
Delhi, yes.
And it just wasn't meant to be. I was like I said, I'm disappointed. I would love to have won it personally, just to have, the personal sort of achievement. But I was just as disappointed for the obviously the fans and being at home, but especially for my teammates. Yeah. I thought that year there were a lot of little hurdles and a lot of little things that we overcame behind the scenes that not many people seen. That I sort of felt that maybe we deserve this more than anyone, because obviously everyone sees what's happening on the pitch, but like I said, there was a few little things as well that you have to deal with, and I thought they all dealt with it really well, and it was a great group of players, a great group of lads, worked hard for each other. I enjoyed working with every single one of them. And like I say,
speaking of which, Aaron, you had an amazing defensive solidity at the back with, Sandesh Jingan, Josu Kurias, Cedric Hongbart, and yourself. And our very own Stato from the studio had come up with this amazing stat that Kerala Blasters never won 6 consecutive home games before or since season 3. You won 6 consecutive home games. It was such an amazing period for Kerala Blasters, and just your partnership. So one of the questions that have come in now, I'm not going to make you talk much about all that, but here's a very interesting question. Mr. Sandy wants to know, my question is that whom do you miss the most from your Kerala Blasters team?
Oh, that's a hard one. That's too hard.
I like this. Come on,
I'm,
guys, send in these kind of questions. This is what I want to ask, Aaron. Aaron, who do you miss the most from all your teammates?
do you know what? I still keep in touch with some of the guys. So every now and again, I
So
speak
you
to
don't miss
Sandesh.
them. Okay, who do you miss?
No, I do. I miss them all. I really do. Like that was one of the things. I mean, like it was a great group of people that I enjoyed working with. So,
Yeah.
and they all brought their own personality and their own, I guess, style to the team. And
Yeah.
the likes of Boris and Endoy, they were funny guys. They at a time when maybe things were a little bit flat, they could make you laugh. And you had the sort of the youthfulness and the liveliness of the likes of Prasant and Farouk, like, again, like good young players. And but I miss. It would be unfair to single out, one name. I miss a lot of them. But like I
Yeah.
say, I still keep in touch with a few. I speak to Sandesh quite a lot.
Yeah.
Keep in touch with him. So I hear what's going on and things. So and Pratik at Mumbai as well. I've spoken to him a little bit. Farouk. So yeah, I speak to Prasant. I speak to a few of the guys.
Who was your best mate? I twisted the question around because you didn't
I
answer it the
twisted
first time.
it. No, well, it's like every team. Obviously when I first went there, that I got on really well with Graham Stacky, simply because we were both from the UK, similar age. We both
Yeah.
experienced players, so straight away I had
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
a reliable friend that I could go to and have a chat with and hang out with.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that I enjoyed about being at Kerala, because I could just as easily go and sit down with the young Indian lads and have a chat and figure out what's going on. I could do that just as easily as I could sit and go and have a coffee with Stacky or those lads. And
Yeah.
like I said, I probably, Sandesh is, I would regard Sandesh as a good friend. I probably speak to him as much or more than anyone. Pratik as well, I keep in touch with quite a lot. But I got on with all the lads. I wouldn't like to say one was a better friend than others. They all at different times. I could
Okay,
easily just
Aaron,
go and sit
fine.
and chat with the guys. It's not a fair
I'll let
question.
you
It's not a
off the
fair question.
hook. Fine, fine. Okay, here's another one from someone called Super Stute says, what is your best moment in your entire footballing career?
Best
Easy
moment.
one. Best moment, if you had to pick one.
Do you know
Easy.
what? Yeah, well, I don't know. It depends on you. I have to say that playing in the Euros for Northern Ireland at a major tournament, it was
Yeah.
almost my dream. And when I got the opportunity to finally go to Euros and then was lucky enough to play, I think the final whistle after the game that we played against Ukraine, it was our first win in the European Championships. A huge moment. The stadium was full. It was probably the pinnacle of things. I was, unfortunately, I never, for all the games that I played, I never was lucky enough to win anything. So I think that moment probably comes as close to lifting a trophy, if you like, in a way, just the emotion, the feeling, what was at stake at the game. So that would be
My
my
gosh.
absolute up there as best moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine what you were saying. But Aaron, such a colorful career, although you're talking about trophies and medals, and I know you want all that, but still, someone here, a lot of people have been asking about another stat of yours, which I'll get to eventually, but someone called Chagiri wants to know, how do you manage to keep your cool? I have never seen you lose your cool on the pitch. Is it a mantra? Is it some kind of meditation? Is it a chant in your head? What do you do? Especially in the position that you play in, more center back. So you're more liable to lose your cool.
Well, it depends what you mean about losing your cool. Certainly there's sometimes are more stressful than others, depending on the striker that you're playing against. I think, but by the time I got to play in India, I was quite an experienced player, so I'd seen quite a lot of different situations and knew how to deal with them. And obviously, when I was younger, I was, I got to play with some of the best players in the Premier League. When I was a kid at Newcastle, I was playing with Alan Shearer, Rob Lee, Gary Speed, some unbelievably experienced players. So I could learn off them. I watched how they dealt with things and how they managed themselves through situations. And and maybe it all just rubbed off.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you know, it just put it down to experience, Curry, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure. And that's exactly what you passed on even to some of the Indian players here in the locker room when you came down. That's exactly why we want players like you to come down to India, because it helps our Indian players grow. And I just don't mean footballing talent, even, sorry, I'm going to mention the name of the show again, off the pitch. It even helps them grow off the pitch. Aaron, here's a quick one without thinking. A lot of fans have been asking this nonstop, going, Aaron, bro, can you say something in Malayalam?
Oh wow! Do you know what?
Anything. Can you say hello in Malayalam? Come on, I
Do you know
told you
what?
that.
I know you did, and the guys actually when I was there, the guys taught me a few words and a few phrases, and I wouldn't say I was good at them, but I did know them, and I can't remember them. The problem is no one over here speaks Malayalam, so it's quite difficult to practice.
Okay, let's get you to say this. Can you say Namaskaram?
Namaskaram.
There you go. Just Namaskaram, Kerala. That's hello, Kerala.
I'd put my hands together, but I'll drop my phone, so I'll just say Namaskaram.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We let that go. All right. So this is another thing. Almost 500 games in the Premier League. That's 455 games, if I got that right. But you've never ever been sent off. Have you come close to being like almost?
Yeah, I was. I should.
Do you want to tell us about it?
I should have been sent off actually. It was a game when I was younger at Newcastle, and we played away at Southampton, and
Yeah.
there was like a goal-mouth scramble, and I was on the line, and I can't remember whether the striker hit a shot, and it hit me on the hand on the line, and it obviously kept the ball out, and the ball got cleared. And at first, the referee let play go on. Obviously, Southampton players appealed, and the referee let play go on because he hadn't seen it. But the linesman saw it. He flagged, but because there were so many players, they didn't know who it was
You
that
didn't
handled the
tell.
ball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they awarded the penalty, but they couldn't send anyone off because they didn't know who it was. So I got away with it.
Oh.
So that could have been
Ha.
blown out of the water from
Very
an
different.
early day,
You're,
but
yeah.
so there,
You're the
just
second most, Aaron, you're the second most capped player in the Premier League to have never been sent off. You know who's the first, right? Come on.
Ryan
Come
Giggs.
on.
Ryan Giggs.
Oh, thank God. Yes, of course.
Well,
Okay,
everyone
a
keeps
lot of
asking me
people,
about it and telling me about it, so I always see the stats. It's
you
a funny,
obviously know.
it's a weird one because of all the stats to have. I never imagined having that many
This
games with
one.
no red card, and I think people, people. I don't know whether it's a good stat or a bad stat because some people say for a centre back I should have been more aggressive, and some people say it's good because I was able to keep my head. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
But
one of
doesn't
those
it come
things.
with the territory again? I was asking that because, like I said, as a center back, you're mostly in the position, you have to slide, you have to make a tackle. You're basically the last line of defense to stop them from scoring. Also, you're the most likely to pick up a card in a situation. You take one for the team. A center back normally is the one who has to do that. Put your body on the line, take one for the team. And yet you didn't. That's an amazing stat.
Well, like I say, it's one of those things. And when I was, being taught as a defender when I was young and growing up and coming through the youth team at Newcastle,
Yeah.
we were told to stay on our feet. For me, the worst thing you can do is, unless you're absolutely 100% that you're getting the ball,
Paul, yeah.
if you commit yourself and you put yourself out of the gates as past you, and
Right.
at that level, when you're playing at that level, they'll punish you for it. If you slide in, miss it, the chances are they're going to go through and score. So maybe I
Yeah.
always took the safe option. Maybe I, just was trying to be a little bit more calculated. If I ever thought I wasn't going to get it, I would rather stay on my feet and
Yeah.
at least then he had to beat me rather than, be able to just jump over the top of me. So
That's
that's
a
my
good one,
thinking
actually. A
of
lot
it.
of okay. Extremely Kaushik is asking a question, which I have a hidden agenda asking you. So I'm going to ask. It's right there on my screen. Extremely Kaushik wants to know who's your favorite commentator in the Hero ISL? I did ask that, Aaron. I
Is
swear
that
I
your
said the name.
question or is that a
It's
question
on
that's
the
come through?
screen. It's on the screen. Extreme Kaushik wants to know. I didn't.
My
Honest.
favorite commentator. I have to say Andy. Andy's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Andy's fantastic. No, I think that's again. It was great to see football from the other side to work in Star and to work on the
Yeah.
commentary because I got to see a totally different side of it and seeing how I guess how, yourself and Ant, that you put together the introductions and speak so easily on the TV when, you're 5-10 seconds from countdown.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed with it. And then you get someone like, Mace, whose knowledge, what he brings to the game, he knows that the game
Yeah.
inside out. So he was able to look after me if I was ever stumbling, and then
Yeah.
obviously Andy's enthusiasm in the commentary. So it was great just to see everyone and how they worked, and it was certainly a great experience for me. That way,
Who's your favorite from all your time in the studio?
I included everyone. Anand.
I know you
Anand.
did. Your favorite person from the studio?
Yeah,
the stint
Anand.
that you did with us.
Anand's my favorite.
Ah, he's just amazing. Mace has sent in a question for you though, and he wants me to
do you know what?
ask you.
Sorry, Khuri. My favorite people in the studio were actually the sound and the makeup people, and the costume, because without them, I certainly wouldn't have been looking anywhere near as good, and I couldn't hear anything. So my favorite people of all were the people behind the scenes, who helped me massively. It would have been a Halloween show otherwise. No.
No, not even close. You were very sweet. You even got dressed up in traditional attire for Diwali. It was so sweet of you. But listen, Mace has sent in a particular question.
Sorry.
He wants me to ask you, do you have a particular dance or celebration that is like your trademark? He wants me to ask you the dance question. Is that a code word? What is it? What's your dance or celebration?
It was hard enough scoring goals in my position, Khuri. Never mind thinking up a dance to go along with it. I was just happy to score. I wasn't exactly proficient in front of goal or renowned for knocking them in. So no, certainly, I can't say I think Mace knows I'm probably not the best dancer in the world, so I certainly wouldn't expose that on a pitch. I enjoyed the moment of scoring without embarrassing myself even more.
You're being too modest. Wait, you
haven't seen me dance. You see me dance, and you'll realize I'm not.
Well,
it's not acceptable.
Prove it. Go on. We're ready. Go on, Aaron.
Like I said, I'll drop my phone. If I stand up, I'll drop my phone, Khuri. So I'll pass on that one for now. Thank you.
Okay, I'll let you up. Someone wants to know, if you were the coach of Kerala Blasters, who would be the first foreign player and the first Indian player you would sign, who's not already with Kerala?
Ooh, that's a tough question. The first, well, would you not sign Messi and Chetri? So no.
There's a realistic chance of getting to come to Kerala. Let's put it like that.
If you're giving me an open checkbook and you're opening up to the as broad as that, well, I'll go out and sign. I'll try and get Messi or Ronaldo if that's possible. And then I think I think for someone to bring someone like Sunderland, as he's renowned as being one of the top Indian players of all time, and someone of that experience certainly would help too. So that's a difficult question, because I mean, in terms of international players, it's a difficult one, because it's on what level are we talking about here? Are we bringing in superstars like Messi or Ronaldo, or are you talking about someone who's already playing in the league and from one of the other teams to bring in? Like you look at Bumu, how good a season he had last season. He'd be a great addition to any team. And the Indian players, there was so many good, outstanding young Indian players last year. I think that's what impressed me the most.
Who stood out for you, Aaron? Name, because someone's been asking who's your favorite Indian player as well from the season gone by. So go on.
See, I'm a little bit biased, but I haven't seen him playing 3 years ago and then seeing where he was now. I thought Farouk had a good season, because I can compare where he was and where he's at now, and maybe that sheds a little bit of a different light on it. And it's maybe an easy answer too, because obviously I know him so well. And Vinit had a good season too. Again, I know Vinit well from playing with him and then seeing where I've said all this already on the show when people ask me, and maybe I'm repeating myself, but I think it was good. It was a really good gauge for me, because having played alongside them, trained with them every day, and seen their potential and seeing where they were, to then see them actually fulfilling some of that potential and and see in 3 years on how much they've developed and still how much they can go on and achieve it. That was the most impressive thing for me.
Okay. Someone's saying you want to sign Messi, but someone said we already have a Messi in Kerala.
Yeah,
That's a nice
yeah,
one, actually.
yeah. And
That came out well.
I actually thought he had a good season as well, especially on the games where they missed
Yeah,
Ogbeche. I thought he actually
yeah,
he was a handful for defenders. He was definitely one of those strikers that would have been difficult to play against because he was physical, he was
yes,
strong. He weighed in with his fair share of goals as well. And I actually think
yeah,
if they had have had Ogbeche and him, Ogbeche, maybe available for a few more games, that didn't miss out, they may actually have made it. Obviously, they were ravaged with injuries this year and different things, but
yeah.
as a partnership, I actually quite like those two.
Juju Ajmal has been asking a lot of questions about the locker room. I mean, all about the mood in the locker room when you lost the finals. I mean, we don't go there. Let's talk about positives. He's asking about some locker room secrets. If you could tell us some incident that happened that no one knows about.
Locker room secrets. Let's
Mm-hmm.
see.
Okay, not necessarily the locker room, training ground, at the hotel, or when you
Yeah.
guys went out. Just something off the pitch that we don't know about.
Well, I mean, we had a couple of, I would call them, sort of small disasters. Well, not disasters. That's maybe going a wee bit too far. But
Who is this?
even from no, not necessarily anyone to do with anyone specific. Like when we were out in, for example, in Thailand for our pre-season, and
Yeah,
you know pre-season's short enough when you're getting ready for a season, especially with a one
yeah,
that's as intense as the Indian Super League. So we had a good 10 days out there. That's where I met up with the guys, and then the plan was to obviously after that to fly back to Kochi and spend another week at home before going up to Northeast for the
yeah,
first game. And pretty much a day or two before we were due to fly back, we got word that the training ground hadn't been finished, and we'd nowhere to train, and so literally at the last minute we had to divert all plans, and we ended up in Kolkata for a week with
yeah.
no games. We ended up playing a game against a local side on a terrible
Wow.
pitch, I have to say. And actually that was the game. That was the game that Prasant actually hurt his ankle, and it
Oh,
basically much put him out for the season. So you
yeah,
can see that was a disaster because you've got someone who could be like him that you could bring on your side that could have an effect in the
yeah,
game. And we lost
yeah.
him even before, and so that was more of a disaster. I think that week was just, and then from there we went straight up to Northeast to prepare for the first game of the season. So the preparation wasn't good. Maybe a bit more lighthearted was after, I think it was the Pune game. We're
Hmm.
probably about half a mile from the airport, maybe a mile or so, and the bus broke down. So we had to get off the bus and walk the last mile. And some of the guys were obviously
Oh,
decided that it would be a lot easier if they thumbed the lift. And we're walking along, and the next minute a few of the guys are on the back of some of the motorbikes on the way past, getting a lift to the airport, saving their
what?
legs. So yeah, it's not something that I'd seen before, but
Yeah.
I walked. I wasn't risking my life on the
You
back of a
didn't get
motorbike.
on a motorbike in
No,
Kochi? Come on, to take a lift. Come on,
we weren't in Kochi. I think it was in Pune. It was away to Pune.
Okay, Pune.
So and like I say, it was just, yeah, like those, it was little things like that made
Yeah.
that made it in a way, I guess enjoyable. You had to laugh about things like that. If you let things like that get to you, it could it could end up being a hard few weeks. But you had to just laugh about things like that and take it on the chin and get on with it, and make
Yeah.
do. So
You can laugh about it in hindsight, but in the middle of a season, if you're hitching rides on the bike in a strange city just to get to the this is a great story. Thanks for sharing it with us,
no, it's
Aaron.
all right. It's all right.
Thanks.
Like, yeah, it's. I mean, apart from that, I can't. My memories. I can't remember anything that stand out. That was one of the first things that came to mind. Just obviously, it was. It's not often you see some of the guys, and it wasn't even.
Yeah.
They're just jumping on the back of strangers' bike, just asking if they could get a lift to the airport, and they walk along, and next minute all these sort of yellow polo shirts are flying past on the back of
Yeah.
bikes. So, but like I say,
Wow.
I wasn't brave enough.
I can't even imagine how amazing the fans would have felt. Like, I had him sitting with me on the bike and I gave him a ride. Like, I think that's one of the most memorable moments of that fan's life. I mean, there's so many questions coming in. I don't know which ones to ask. It's just so many. Okay,
Yeah, it's
someone wants,
difficult. Yeah.
the name's just gone up, but I'm going to quickly ask you the question because I made a note of it. Someone wants to know if you had to choose an Indian player for Kerala Blasters to partner Sandesh Chingan in central defense, who would you choose? Which Indian player would you choose?
Good question.
Okay,
I
I'll turn
would
it around then. Do you want me to turn it around then?
go on. Let me have a think about that, and then I'll come back to how you turn it around.
All right, cool. I'll turn it around. Who do you think has made the best, has been Sandesh's best centre back partner for Kerala Blasters till date? I made it more difficult.
Yeah, because they haven't. Kerala have gone through about 6 centre backs in the space of a season this year.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and with Sandesh
But
not
Sandesh
playing,
didn't play this season, so it's,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's a hard question. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I'll have a think and
No.
maybe try
All
and come
right,
back with that one.
move on. Easier question. If you had to be the coach of one Premier League team, which one?
Coach of a Premier League team, which one? That's an easy
Hmm.
question.
Yeah, come on.
It depends how you look at it. I was a Liverpool fan when I was young growing up. So I think, if you could be the coach of Liverpool, that would be fantastic, especially at the minute, the way they're playing. But then I suppose they're playing because of the coach, so you wouldn't want to have to change it because he's doing such a good job. Yeah, I think if you were able to be a coach for one day, probably Liverpool or Man City to as a coach, I guess when you're looking at it, to have the chance to work with the quality of those players. Um, you're
Hmm.
splitting hairs picking between Liverpool and Man City with the quality they have.
I'm splitting hairs right now, wondering why I ever asked you that question. I should have just let you
Do you know
stick
what?
with the
Well,
more difficult one.
yeah, and obviously Newcastle as well as a team that I played for and know how
Yeah.
special that place is. That would be, I'd say that would be pretty special as well. All tough jobs, I have to say. Not certainly not jobs that I envy. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would be the chance a day in the life a day in the life of a manager of one of those clubs would be pretty cool.
That would, all right. I'm going to have a quick rapid fire with you. Let's see how much you've been keeping up with the league. So I
Oh,
promise you, they're all very easy questions, and
I hope.
some of them have come from. Remember Aditya Varti was a stats guy at Star Sports. He sent in a couple of questions that he wants to ask you, but then because they would get lost here, so I
Okay.
have them separately. Who's the
Oh, hang
all-time
on.
top scorer for Kerala Blasters?
All-time top scorer for Kerala Blasters. Ogbechi.
Come on. Yes, well done. What position in the table did Kerala Blasters finish in the season you played?
Fourth. No, third. Third, we were third. The season I played,
Mm-hmm.
did we not finish third or fourth?
It's
We fin
1v4 and 2v3 in the semis, so you finished second. But okay, since you've forgotten where you finished, let's move on to the semi-finals. Who were the two second? Anyways,
I
who were
know.
the two
I
goal
I
scorers?
could have swore we just sneaked in, but anyway, sorry, that's how bad my memory is. Sorry,
No,
who
you
were the
got a
two goal
great win
scorers?
in your last game. I think it was between Kerala and Northeast United, and you won
Yeah.
the game. And I think that is why you jumped up to the second position. So it was 2v3 and Delhi was third. And if I remember correctly, that's how it ended. That's how the
Mumbai
table
finished
ended at the league
fourth. Yeah,
stage.
that's right. Mumbai was
Yes,
fourth.
and ATK at the top.
ATK, Mumbai. Yeah, got you.
Mm. Now you
Yeah.
see?
See, yeah.
I remember.
Think
Okay.
well, I'm glad you
Uh,
remember because I don't.
I do. Okay, I'm sure you remember this. In the semifinals, who were the two goal scorers for Kerala Blasters?
In the
Come on.
semi-finals,
In the semifinals?
Nazon scored in the second game, and in the first
Yes.
game was Belfort.
Yes, well done. Okay.
These are testing
I
questions.
No, this is a really easy one, okay?
It's
So you know
no,
you
they should be easy, Khuri, but it's my memory.
Okay, this one's a really good question because this is such a positive way of starting things off for you in India. So, which was the team against which did Kerala Blasters win their first game? I'll give you a little hint. You played the first game, you went back, you took a little break from the ISL because you had international duty. You came back, and then Kerala Blasters won their first match in that season. Who was it against?
Was it was it
Hmm.
Mumbai?
Hmm. Yes, it was Mumbai. The score was
Yes,
1-0.
1-0. Yeah, I remember because I was
Do
in
you know the
Northern Ireland at
scoring?
the time. Yes, I do.
Come on, come on. Has an Indian connection but a foreign player.
I was gonna say it wasn't Chopra, was it?
It was! Well
It's,
done, Aaron Hughes. Your memory
I'm
is
saying,
way better than you think it is.
no, well, let's see. You just,
It's excellent. Yeah, people are
uh,
actually sending in replies here saying Chopra scored, Chopra scored. Okay,
yeah,
Aaron,
yeah. I should look at
since
I should look at the responses, shouldn't I?
no,
It's a clue.
don't. They're sending you clues.
I'm too busy
Mumbai,
looking at
Chopra,
the roof
Aaron.
trying to think about what my answer is, and all the answers are right in front of me.
You're such an honest soul. Wow. We really appreciate that. Aaron, since this is Manjapada's account and this is their initiative, I have to tell you,
Yeah.
first of all, how grateful they are that you agreed to do this with me. Like when I messaged you, I wasn't really sure if you'd say yes. And then you instantly agreed to do this. Manjapada is just also grateful. What would you say about Manjapada? If you know about not just the home support, but even in away matches, because we've seen how they flock to the stadium. So what would you want to say? Because we're on Manjapada's account like right now, and there's so many fans who want to hear what you have to say about them.
Oh, it was incredible. That's I know I spoke a lot previously there about the home games and the atmospheres, but we go to the airport or we land like in one of the other cities, and there'd be
Yeah.
you know 20, 30, 40 Kerala shirts waiting for us, already before the game, and the support at some of the away games was they made just as much, if not more, noise as the team that we were playing, as the home team.
Mm.
Their support. There's a reason why they're renowned for being one of the best supporters. Not just within India, but in
Yes.
general. Um, and
Yeah.
it was, again, that was another advantage because when you went, or for us, I think when you played away, you had an element of support there. It wasn't just playing against a hostile crowd or a crowd that you had
Mm.
no support
Yeah.
in. So
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
they were incredible, Manjapada, and any time I got to meet any of the guys involved with it, or any of the fans around the game.
Yeah.
You know, great guys to speak to. All
Yeah.
very polite, very respectful. Very very easy to, I guess, to give your time to when they're like that. So I repeat myself in saying that they help to make the experience, for me, a great experience.
A lot of people are asking, because you've been talking about Manjapara, they're just asking, what are the chances of you returning, even in another position? Not maybe as a player, but even otherwise. What are the chances of Aaron Hughes coming back to Kerala Blasters? Maybe
Oh,
if you were offered a coaching position or something, would you take it up?
it just well, never say never, Curry. You never, you don't know what's around the corner, and that's not an insight to a story. It's just you don't know what's ahead. It's
Yeah.
something that I've coming to the end of playing, and then all of a sudden being now starting to think of the next, what's next in football or in
Yeah.
life. That there's so many, I guess, opportunities and different things to be involved in. Obviously, like I said, I'm studying at the moment, in a sense of going back to school, in a way. So
Yeah.
that's something that's a priority that I want to try and get, and that'll hopefully add to what I've already got in terms of playing CV. And then where that takes me and what opportunities come up along the way, it's then just down to me to sort of pick which one that I feel is right, and the timing has to be right, and everything too, and something that I feel that I can be of use to someone. But certainly, if that opportunity came up and it was the right time, and it would be a very hard decision to turn down, put it like that, because my
Yeah.
experience before and how I feel about the place and everything, would be
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that I would look forward to.
And this is another question from the fan. If you did come back, what is the first local dish you would eat?
Do you know, I didn't really sample too much of the local food when I was a player there, for obvious reasons, that I was focused on playing, and I just was always a little bit worried that being my first time in India, I needed to be quite
Yeah, with
careful
the
with the food,
spices
the
and
spicy
everything. Yeah.
food and something new.
Yeah.
That being said, I remember I went down to Fort Kochi with Sandesh one evening. We went to a restaurant, and I think I had some fish, local fish. I don't know if it was necessarily a speciality or anything like that, but it was
Yeah.
I think it was very good. So when people ask, what was your favorite food at the time, it was just whatever fish we had at that restaurant that night was pretty good.
It's really good. It's really fresh, and I love how they make it with this coconut, and it's got this typical just Kerala food is amazing. But yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
so sure as a football player if you should have been having that while the season was
Well,
on.
I, I asked them to not make it spicy. You know, could I have it quite
Okay.
mild, please? It was still quite spicy for me. I have to admit, but it wasn't quite
Yes,
maybe to the levels of what people are used to.
our mild is still really spicy for you.
Certainly for someone like me.
I'm sure. I don't know if this one's going to be a tough one for you. However, someone wants you to talk about Steve Coppell in a few words.
Steve was brilliant. Steve was brilliant. You know, when you consider that, you know, we had very little time to prepare for the season, given that obviously
Mm,
what I spoke about before too, having pre-season, you know, changed at the last moment, and you know, having little curveballs thrown in now and again like that. I think he did a
yeah.
very good job of getting the team ready. You know, he simplified
Mm,
everything for everyone. You know, our game plan was, you know, there was nothing extravagant about it. You know, we certainly, I wouldn't say we played the most attractive football or the most flowing football, but we were effective, and we played to everyone's strengths, and everyone understood what their role was in the team. And, you know, he had a big part to play in that, and how he sort of brought everyone together. You know, Steve did a really good job, and great guy too. You know, off the pitch, you know, it's very easy to talk to, very easy to get on with. Obviously, you know, coming from the UK, you know, having someone there as well that's easy to
yeah.
relate to, you know, helps. But I just mean it in general. You know, most of the lads, I guess, would say the same thing. But I thought he did a great job at Kerala. Like I say, given, I think sometimes people expect when managers go there, they forget how tough a job it actually is, because you can go from a job, say in the UK here, where you've got a full, you know, 6, 7, 8 weeks to prepare a team for pre-season, and then you've got a full season really to iron out any little creases, fix any little problems. You've got 2 transfer windows if you need to make changes. You know, when you come to India, you've got, you know, a very short pre-season, and then especially at the, you know, when I played, when the season was only 3 months long, you've got no time
Mm,
during the season to fix things, or if you do, you know,
true.
it's
True.
sticking, you know, patches on things just to get through.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and from that respect, you know, I thought he did a great job on how you know, how he dealt with everything. He was a very calm manager. He never got, you know, too ruffled. You know, I think that's another one of his strengths, that it transferred onto the players, that no one ever really panicked, because he didn't. He was always, you know, quite reserved. Certainly in front of us anyway. So no, Steve was a great manager to work under.
Yeah. Yeah. Aaron, there are a lot of questions coming about your favorite centre back, your favorite player, your favorite, and I'm not going to ask you all of these, but one of them did sound interesting. Who do you think has been the best coach in the Hero ISL so far?
Oh wow, um, oh, that's a tough one.
I let the tough ones
Uh,
go.
no, this is a tough one, because you know, you're talking about over it again. It's in perspective a little bit, because you could argue that the job Steve did at Kerala in that short period of time was as good as anyone, given the
Yeah.
circumstances, and then where he took the team to. Whereas you know, you get someone, you know, Libera has shown that his teams play some of the best football, I think, that we've seen in the ISL. How
Yeah.
he set his
Yeah.
teams up, how he's organised. You know,
Mm,
again, to repeat myself a little bit, one of the biggest things I was impressed with, you know, when I was, you know, in India doing the commentary, was when Goa played with, you know, even the Indian players' understanding of the game, you know, and how even when some of the foreigners stepped out and Indian players went into that role, it was seamless, you know, and that comes from the coaching, it comes from the work on the training pitch. That just doesn't happen by, you know, by chance. You know,
yeah.
that's 2 or 3 years of top quality coaching, and you know, and helping your players understand how they play, and you know, giving them that platform, I guess, to showcase that. So
Yeah.
yeah, look, you know, so again, I'm not answering your questions directly here, Amma, but I'm trying to sort of give an explanation as to why they're difficult, because you do have to look at it in different ways, and then you look at trophies. Abbas has won a couple of trophies, so you could argue he's up
Mm,
there too.
okay. You know, you're still such an amazing shot stopper. I haven't been able to get one past you at all. And we've been at this for almost an hour now. Well done, Aaron. And I'm being
No,
nice. I'm
I'm
being
used
nice
to
today because it's your first time.
dodging questions. I mean, I can, the hard ones
I
I can
can
try and
tell.
I can waffle around.
I I can tell. Okay, so I'm sure. Sorry, I've been keeping you for so long, and sorry
No,
the
no, we're good.
session started really late compared to when we had planned on starting it at 8 p.m. Sorry, it's happened that way. But Aaron, before I let you go, what would you say to the fans, not just in Kerala? Of course, there's Manjapara over here, and you've always said, football is nothing without their fans, and Kerala is known for their support. But just overall, the here and in Super League, just everywhere in India, all the football fans, what would you tell them? How important are they to a player? Just let them know.
Well, they're huge because without the fans, we don't have, we turn up at empty stadiums. When I say we as players,
Yeah.
players turn up at empty, they create the atmosphere, they create the buzz, they create all the talking points afterwards. Of
Mm.
course, as a player, you go out and you want to do well for yourself, you want to do well for your team, but you want to do well for the fans as well that support your team. They pay the money for the tickets to get in, they buy the shirts. I guess they're the ones that walk around with the shirts with your name on the back. There's no bigger compliment, I guess. So
Yeah.
I think that fans are huge to the game, and it must be difficult for them at the moment. Not it's not having live sport, not having football, having to deal with everything that's going on at the moment. It's a difficult time. So hopefully, everyone can just stay strong, stay positive, do what they can to keep themselves fit and healthy, and keep our fingers crossed that we get football back, we sooner rather than later.
Fingers crossed, like as much as you can,
Yeah,
fingers crossed. But adding to that, because times are they're trying times right now going on all throughout the world. I just want to tell you once again from Manjapara and from everybody, and especially from me, how grateful we are, Aaron, that you did this for us, that you came on live. Although
not
there were a few hiccups at the start, but we
yeah,
got
yeah.
there.
Well, I'd say I attempted to. I thought it might be safer to do it via the computer because I could have I could put a cable in and maybe the connection would be a bit more secure.
Hmm.
So, but actually the safer option proved the less useful option. So
The
we've
phone,
gone to the phone, the handheld phone,
yeah.
leaning against the wall. Sometimes it's a bit simpler and it's a bit easier. But no, as much as I have my social media accounts. I wouldn't say I'm particularly social on them. It's not really my thing. I'm not. I use them now and again, and I check up on
Yeah.
things. I use them more just as a news feed to what's going on in the world. So I appreciate. I probably get asked lots of things, or people all send me questions that I maybe don't see. So something like this is a good opportunity to get a chance to maybe answer some of those questions and
Thank
and
you.
say hello and it's like I say it's just it's just a bit easier than trying to answer 1,000 questions.
No, but thank you. See, you could sidestep so many of them. I filtered a lot of questions for you, but I won't be doing
Yeah,
that
I'm I'm
again. No,
I'm
no, if
too
I
busy
see that, you
talking
won't
and
come
looking at the
again.
screen. I'm seeing I can see everything popping past in the screen and going past so quickly,
Oh,
and sometimes that they're
so
coming that
everyone's
thick and
sending you
fast.
love.
Yeah, well, they're coming
Everyone's
past
sending
that
you a lot
quick.
of
We
love. They're
can't
saying,
even
we
get a
love you, we
chance
love
to
you, we
read
love
them.
you, we miss you. They're all saying thank you to you, and
Not a
they're all
problem.
wishing you stay safe. They're sending you just lots and lots of love. So just send them love back. And Aaron, thank you so much for doing this.
No,
I'm sure we'll have
not a
you
problem,
very
Corey.
soon on Off the Pitch again.
Yeah, if you want, I'm sure I'd be happy to come on. You can hear me waffle again for another hour.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was great. This was fun. From everyone in at Manjapara, this is Khuri Irani signing off from Off the Pitch. Thank you so much, Aaron, for joining
Cheers,
us, and I'll
guys.
catch you again
Thanks,
soon.
Curry. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
You can log
Take
off
care. Stay
now.
safe.
Thank you,
Stay
Aaron.
safe.
Thank
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, so for all of you who are with us now, this was a great session with Aaron Hughes. So much fun. I'm sorry you can't ask all your questions because it's not easy. I mean, I have 45 minutes and there's so many questions coming in, which is why I'm going to give you a lot of time to prepare for the next session. The next one's going to be on Friday at 8 p.m. It's a player who has won the Premier League, the Champions League. He is the player who actually came in to Kerala Blasters the season after Aaron Hughes. And he's going to be live with me on Manjapara's account, 8 p.m. on Friday. Any guesses who that is? Oh, you're all very welcome. Everyone's saying thank you, thank you, thank you. You're very welcome. It's getting really late here in India, so we gotta go have dinner and stuff. But anyways, guys, we're going to be posting out teasers of this. Keep your questions ready and keep the kind of questions that he can't dodge. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you again on Friday at 8 p.m. Thank you so much for joining on Off the Pitch. We'll see you very soon. Mwah.